In the frozen wilderness of Siberia, where temperatures plunge to -40 degrees, where brown bears roam freely, and where wolves hunt in packs, a 4-year-old girl disappeared. For 11 days, she wandered alone through one of the most dangerous forests on Earth. No food, no shelter, no protection, just a little girl and her loyal puppy. This is the true story of Karina Chikitova, and what happened next defies belief. July 2014, the Sakha Republic in eastern Siberia. This is one of the most remote regions on Earth. The nearest city, over 500 kilometers away. The landscape, an endless sea of taiga forest stretching as far as the eye can see. In the tiny village of Olam, life moves slowly. There are no paved roads, no grocery stores, no hospitals. Just a handful of families living the way their ancestors did for centuries. And in one of these homes lived 4-year-old Karina Chikitova. Karina was like any other child, curious, energetic, always following her father around, watching him work, asking endless questions. On this particular July morning, Karina's father was preparing to leave. He was heading deep into the forest to check on the family's cattle, a journey that would take several days. Karina watched him pack, she watched him prepare, and when he wasn't looking, she decided to follow.
Her mother was sleeping, her older siblings were occupied, and Karina, with her puppy Naida trotting beside her, slipped out of the house and into the forest. She thought she could catch up to her father. She thought she knew the way. She was wrong. The Siberian taiga is not like other forests. The trees grow so thick that sunlight barely reaches the ground. There are no landmarks, no trails. Every direction looks exactly the same. Within minutes, Karina was lost, completely, utterly lost. And she had no idea that the forest she just entered was home to some of the deadliest predators in Russia. Before we continue with Karina's story, if you're fascinated by true survival tales like this one, hit that subscribe button right now. We bring you real stories of human endurance every single week. Now, let's talk about what Karina was facing. The Sakha Republic wilderness is unforgiving. Brown bears weighing over 600 pounds hunt these forests. Wolf packs roam in groups of 10 or more. And in summer, clouds of mosquitoes swarm so thick they can suffocate small animals. Karina was 4 years old. She weighed maybe 35 pounds. She was wearing light summer clothes, and she was alone. Day 1 passed, then day 2, then day 3. Back in the village, Karina's mother woke to find her daughter missing. Panic set in immediately. The entire village mobilized. Search parties fanned out into the forest, calling Karina's name until their voices went hoarse. But the forest swallowed their voices. The taiga revealed nothing. Meanwhile, deep in the wilderness, Karina faced her first night alone. The temperature dropped. Darkness fell like a curtain, and the sounds began. Rustling in the bushes, howls in the distance, the snap of twigs under heavy paws. What would you do? You're 4 years old. You're alone in the dark, and you can hear predators circling. But Karina wasn't completely alone. Her puppy, Naida, stayed by her side. The little dog curled up against her, sharing warmth. When Karina cried, Naida licked her face. When strange sounds came from the darkness, Naida barked, warding away whatever lurked in the shadows. Days blurred together. Karina survived on instinct. She drank from streams the way she'd seen animals do. She ate wild berries, the same ones her grandmother had shown her were safe. Her feet, bare and blistered, carried her through mud and over roots. Her hands, scratched and bleeding, pushed through thorny bushes. She was starving, dehydrated, exhausted beyond measure. The Siberian wilderness doesn't care if you're 4 years old. It doesn't care if you're scared. Nature operates by one rule: adapt or die. And somehow, this little girl was adapting. She found shelter under fallen trees when it rained. She avoided areas where she heard large animals moving. She followed the sound of running water to find streams. These weren't conscious survival strategies. They were pure instinct. The same instinct that kept our ancestors alive for millions of years. By day 5, the search effort had expanded. Helicopters flew overhead, scanning the endless green canopy. Volunteers from neighboring villages joined the search. Tracking dogs were brought in from cities hundreds of kilometers away. But the Siberian taiga is vast beyond comprehension. It covers an area larger than the entire United States. Finding one small child in this wilderness was like finding a grain of sand on a beach. Karina's mother refused to sleep. She spent every night in the forest, calling her daughter's name into the darkness. Other villagers tried to comfort her, tried to prepare her for the worst, but she wouldn't listen. A mother knows, and something deep inside told her that Karina was still alive. She was right, but barely. By day 7, Karina could barely walk. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her skin was covered in hundreds of mosquito bites, swollen and infected. She'd lost significant weight. Her tiny frame was becoming skeletal. The berries she'd been eating weren't enough. Her body was consuming itself to stay alive. And then, on day 8, something happened that would have broken most adults. Naida disappeared. The one companion who'd kept her alive, who'd kept her warm, who'd given her a reason to keep going, was gone. Some experts later theorized that Naida left to find help. Others believe the puppy was searching for food. We'll never know for certain, but what we do know is this: Karina was now truly alone. Have you ever been lost, even for an hour? Remember that feeling of panic, that crushing anxiety? Now, imagine being 4 years old. Imagine being lost for over a week. Imagine losing your only friend in the world. Most adults would have given up. Most adults would have laid down and waited for death. But Karina kept moving. She kept surviving. Why? Because she believed her father was out there somewhere. She believed if she kept walking, she'd find him. Day 9. Day 10. The official search was being scaled back. After 10 days in the wilderness with no food, no shelter, and temperatures dropping at night, the authorities believed there was no chance of survival. Some search parties were being called off, resources were being redirected. The village was beginning to mourn. But Karina's mother refused to stop. She gathered a small group of volunteers, people who still believed, and they continued searching. They pushed deeper into areas that hadn't been covered. They followed animal trails. They checked near water sources. They were running on hope and desperation. And sometimes, that's enough. Day 11. A small search party was working their way along a riverbank, an area about 12 kilometers from the village. The forest here was particularly dense. The undergrowth was thick with thorns and nettles. It was the kind of place you'd avoid unless you had a reason to search it. And then they heard something. Barking. Frantic, persistent barking. They followed the sound, pushing through dense undergrowth, branches tearing at their clothes. And there was Naida. The little puppy was emaciated. Her ribs were showing. She was covered in mud and scratches, but she was alive. And she was barking at the search party, then running ahead, then barking again. She was trying to lead them somewhere. The rescuers followed. Naida led them through the forest, taking paths no human would have found. The puppy would run ahead, stop, look back to make sure they were following, then continue. For nearly an hour, they tracked the determined dog deeper into the wilderness. And then they saw her, Karina Chikitova, lying in tall grass near a riverbank. Her eyes half closed, her breathing shallow. Her body covered in insect bites and scratches. Her clothes were torn. Her hair was matted with dirt and leaves. She looked more like a wild animal than a little girl, but she was alive. The rescuers rushed to her. They wrapped her in blankets. They gave her water, just small sips at first, because her body was so dehydrated it could go into shock from drinking too much too fast. One rescuer radioed back to the village with 4 words that would make headlines around the world. "We found her. She's alive." When Karina's mother heard those words, she collapsed to her knees and wept. 11 days, 264 hours, her daughter had survived. Karina was airlifted to the nearest hospital, 500 kilometers away in the city of Yakutsk. Doctors were stunned. After 11 days in the Siberian wilderness with no food, minimal water, and constant exposure to the elements, they expected to find a child on the verge of death. What they found instead was a little girl who was weak, yes, but whose vital signs were remarkably stable. Her feet were badly damaged from walking barefoot through the forest. She'd lost nearly 20% of her body weight. She was severely dehydrated and malnourished. Her body was covered in over 150 mosquito bites, many of them infected, but her spirit unbroken. Medical experts who studied Karina's case were amazed. A 4-year-old child shouldn't have the knowledge or instinct to survive in such conditions. But Karina had grown up in a remote village, where survival skills were part of daily life. She'd watched her grandmother gather berries. She'd seen her father drink from streams. She'd observed how animals behave. Without realizing it, she'd been learning survival skills her entire life. And when she needed them most, those skills saved her life. Within weeks, Karina was back home, back in her village, back with her family. The physical wounds healed quickly. The psychological impact, that took longer. For months, Karina had nightmares about the forest. She was afraid of the dark. She wouldn't let her mother out of her sight. But children are resilient, and with time, love, and support, Karina recovered. And Naida, the puppy who'd stayed by her side for 8 days, who'd shared her warmth, who'd led rescuers to her location, Naida became a national hero in Russia. The story made international headlines. News outlets from around the world covered the miraculous survival, and the bond between the little girl and her loyal dog became legendary. Today, Karina is a healthy young woman. She still lives in Siberia. She still remembers those 11 days, though the memories have faded like an old photograph. But she'll never forget Naida, and she'll never forget the lesson the forest taught her, that the human spirit, even in its smallest, youngest form, is capable of extraordinary things. If you found the story as incredible as we did, subscribe to Phantom Archived right now. We bring you real survival stories, historical mysteries, and true tales of human endurance every single week. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. And if you want to hear more survival stories like Karina's, check out our video about the man who survived 76 days lost at sea. Trust me, you won't believe what he had to do to stay alive. Thanks for watching, and remember, the human will to survive is the most powerful force on Earth.